Hi. My question is about leadership in the church. If a man is appointed a leadership role in the church, isn't he held to a higher standard? In other words, if his household is in chaos, his wife has left town, and it's been months and she won't come home, his children are denying our Creator. You can offer grace to people and accept them where they're at, but if you're placed in a leadership role, it's my understanding that you're just held at a higher standard. And I'm finding it very difficult to have respect for this person, and I don't know if I'm wrong as a Christian for not offering more grace, or if he really shouldn't be in that role until he gets his life in order.
Wow, that is a very important question, and one that we really need to ask and need to deal with. I'll start with you, Pete.
Well, again, I want to go through her entire question. In other words, if his household is in chaos, his wife has left town, at that point, I believe he should take a leave of absence. I really do, because it's throwing mixed messages to the congregation. To answer her question, yes, Titus, when Paul wrote Titus, Titus tells us that we are held. Matter of fact, even we're told that, not to assume the role of a teacher. So we are held to a higher standard. And if there's problems in his marriage, and I mean this with all of my heart, he needs to call a time out, get that marriage fixed. Now, again, there's times where I've had dear friends that were fantastic pastors where they could not fix their marriage. But at this time, not to send confusion into the church, if I'm reading this question right, he should take some time out, try to reconcile that marriage, do his very best to reconcile that marriage. That's what I would encourage. She has every right to question, because yes, we are held. Now let me read it real quick, and I don't want to take a lot of time. It starts with verse 6, namely, a man of unquestionable integrity. This is talking about an elder, the husband and one wife, having children who believe, not accused of being immoral or rebellious. So, and it goes on and on and on. We are held to a higher standard. Yeah. That's just the facts. It's very important. If you will, we're setting a pace. We're not Jesus, but we do set a pace, and we have to live up to that. And if we can't live up to that, then the only other thing is leave of absence, and if that's not working, a time just to sit back.
Okay, good answer. Dr. Bill.
One of the verses that Pete kind of...
I like Peter. Thank you, my son.
All right. That Pete hit on was the one in James where it says, be not many teachers, knowing that you shall receive the greater judgment. So, it seems like, from a teaching standpoint, which is what, leaders do, that there is a higher standard that they are held to. But I like the verse where Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ.
Yes.
Because what he's letting us know there is that Paul was a leader, and he realized that people, were following him. And so he wanted to make sure he kept his focus on Christ, and that he, again, we ought to walk as Jesus walked. Not perfect, but, we ought to walk in that pattern. And so, Paul said, follow me, as a leader, setting an example, for the rest of the flock, as I follow Christ.
It's interesting that the caller doesn't say really anything about him. It's his household. His wife's left town.
But why?
But why? Obviously, that's a big red flag. Obviously, and his children. It sounds like adult children denying the Creator. He is not. He is not them. But I don't know. Where do you guys come in on this?
Well, I think also the why is very important. I don't think you can put everybody in a one-size-fits-all. Right. I'm with you. I think you have to look at why the wife left. Right. I know a person that their wife just left them. There was a minister out west, and he wept. She just said, I don't want this anymore, and just says, I'm leaving. I don't think that's a time. Now, if he's not able and he needs to get help and things like that, but I don't think necessarily he needs to be set down. There's something wrong with him. And the word there, where like in 1 Timothy, where it talks about how they have to rule their house well and their children need to be submissive, that's the word teknon. which is for children, which means usually from birth to adolescence. Right. So, that's what it's saying, that there needs to be submission there. And so do they honor their parents? So, I'm a firm believer. I don't think it's like, well, if you get a divorce or you do this, you automatically are set down. I don't know if you can say that about every single person, because everybody has to make their own decision. So I think that's where you have a council of elders that are over you, that are willing to help walk through those things and help make those decisions. But this person here, there's a lot going on. I definitely would like to go a little bit deeper and find out a little bit more about the situation.
Yeah, we can definitely disqualify ourselves. We all know that. We are called to have that standard in Titus 1 and 1 Timothy 3. And many of it does have to do with the family. Husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accused of dissipation, rules his house well. If he can't do well in his house, how can he do well in the church? Right. And in this situation, I would just say to this woman that if you don't have, if there isn't a body that's keeping him accountable, like in my system, the Presbyterian system, I'm a member of a presbytery, a group of ministers, where I can be removed. I can be suspended, I can be removed, even if I don't willingly step down. And I would hope that if I was in a situation where my house is in chaos and my kids are running wild, that I would be like, look, obviously I don't have the gifts and I don't have the call, I'm going to step down. But if not, if there's no one there to remove him and he's just living a sinful, wicked life, I'd find another church. Yes. Because somebody's got to keep this man accountable. Right. And again, in one sense, we all have the same standard: be perfect as I am perfect, be holy as I am holy. But for us, it's a job description. Right. Yes. And if we don't have that, outwardly being seen, we have to step down. We're not losing our salvation, but we can't be a minister anymore.
Yeah, that's real important. Thank you so much for the question. It's an important question. It's a difficult one, but one that we all need to be aware of.